All right. So I have the pleasure of sitting in front of Ivy and Nate. Is it Barcalow? I
Barcalow.
Barcalow. Okay, there's been like 3 or 4 different interviews I've heard where people say your name differently, but you never correct them. So I'm never sure like
Really?
which. Yeah,
I feel like I always correct people, but maybe I got lazy.
I don't know, but I have also noticed that there are times where you. I think you're more looking at someone and just kind of taking it in because you'll be like biting your lip, and I think then you'll realize like the question, like the conversation has stopped and they're waiting for you to talk, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, anything. So I don't know. I kind of pay more attention to the nonverbal clues of what's going on. So when you didn't correct anyone, I was like, maybe he just doesn't care, or it's one of those where it's like my last name where it's like people are gonna say it and you can correct them and they're still gonna say it wrong. So you're just like, whatever. It's my name's Nate.
A lot of people do that with their daughter's name.
Yeah.
Oh,
They know it and they still don't care.
it's kind of weird how that is. My wife's last name was Winterhalter, and it's spelled exactly how it sounds, and people would fuck it up all the time. They're like, "Excuse me, what was that again?" And you're like, "Winterhalter." Excuse me, Winterhalter. Oh, so like it sounds. Yeah. Like, why didn't you get that the first 2 times you asked me? But I'm going to put this right on Front Street. At first, Ivy and I actually started contacting each other through the Eats It Facebook group, which is kind of a weird place to be and meet over the fandom of another band.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, I'm glad that I joined that Facebook group a while ago because it's been full of really interesting conversations and really interesting people that I kind of are becoming friends with in a digital life, I guess.
It's very interesting.
So I guess I'll start with the standard meet cute question. How did you 2 meet each other?
High school.
High school.
You guys
Ninth grade.
Have a
Ninth
class
grade,
together,
yeah.
or
Did we what?
have a class together?
We had drama?
We had drama together, but we we met because he became friends with my boyfriend.
Yeah, her
At
boyfriend
the time.
at the time.
And
they were like my only 2 friends because I had just transferred from a different school to that school, and I didn't know anybody. So I had just met her current boyfriend at the time because I was wearing a Korn shirt, and he was a Korn fan, and he's like, "You like Korn?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's be friends." So
that's exactly how he sounded. When he
yeah,
talked.
so then we became friends, and he had a hot girlfriend. So
Oh, thank you.
What I feel like you would have had the CD booklet. Was that a big thing too? Like matching CDs and becoming friends through like having the same style of music in common?
Oh,
You remember like those
definitely.
like obnoxiously like 300-page CD booklets and you'd bring them,
Oh,
drag
yeah.
them around the class?
mm-hmm.
We have 2 of them.
Yeah, we
still.
still have They're full of crap.
Do the CDs still work? Because that was a problem with mine. They stopped working after a while.
Some of them still work.
Some of them,
I
yeah.
ended up putting them all, on the iPod or whatever, so we don't use them anymore. But
Still fun to
Yeah.
go back through and look at them.
Bonded
Just
over
like,
some music.
yeah, we had the same types of music for sure.
Ugh.
I feel like that was
That was
how
a-
easy it was back then. You could just find someone that had a CD or 2 in common, and you're like, I think we just became best friends because you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or a band T-shirt or a sticker or something, and it's just like you're best friends all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because
Easy.
like even having band T-shirts wasn't that popular back then.
No,
Yeah, not
you had to
really.
get them through the back of Revolver on those like weird like inserts.
Yep.
Same
Yeah.
with like
Or
CD
go to a
Warehouse or
toy.
whatever.
Yeah.
So in high school, Nate, were you in bands? Like, was that a thing that you were doing back then?
Kind of sophomore year, junior year. I think I was in a band briefly for a little while.
Well,
I
you
was
had
playing.
like Beta Factor and stuff.
Yeah, I was in some kind of. It started out as like a jokey band. It was called Beta Factor, and it was really silly. But then I joined this other band called Probable Cause where I didn't know how to play keyboards like at all really. So I became the keyboard player just because I wanted to be in a band and they thought I was cool. And so then we lost our singer and then they're like, "Can you sing?" I was like, "I don't know, I'll give it a shot." So then I started singing for them and we made like a cassette tape. We recorded on a 4-track and pressed a bunch of tapes. Probable Cause.
Well, which later came back as Earthbound Ghost.
Yeah, then
Not
that,
very long ago.
that came back around and it was it turned into Earthbound Ghosts a couple of years ago, but that didn't really pan out.
Beta Factor wasn't just silly. It was they had like mechanic suits with like computer parts glued to them.
So it's sort of like Proto Devo?
Yeah, totally. We had a song called Clean Up Aisle 7. You know? So, I mean, we didn't take ourselves too seriously.
Like monitors on their heads and...
Yeah, it was fun.
It was awesome.
It was not that serious.
It's funny to see how you look back on it, Nate, and to see how Ivy's like, no, it was fun, and like the difference of being in it as opposed to watching it.
Me being the musician, I'm like, that was garbage. It was a joke. She's like, it was fun.
It was fun.
Were you guys doing originals back then, or was it mostly covers?
No, we wrote our own songs.
So even starting that early, you've been doing your own thing?
Yeah, me and my brother and my cousins, we grew up together really close, and we all got like guitars, and my uncle had a drum set in the house, so like when he was at work, we weren't supposed to, but we'd bang on his drum set and play guitar, and one of us would play drums, one of us would play guitar, the other one would just yell, and we had a little, like, remember the tape decks, the little cassette tape, you push record and play at the same time.
Yeah.
So we just put in tapes and push play and record, and just record ourselves jamming live in a room. It sounded terrible, and so yeah, I mean, we started pretty early with music, but
what higher calling?
That was yeah.
The thing that I think is kind of interesting, I can only think of personally like two people that I have known that have been with someone through high school and actually maintained once you're out of high school that first year. How are you guys able to stay together? I mean, that's kind of a really interesting time where people kind of want their freedom to go do whatever or go off to college or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of, I always wonder how like people are able to stay together through that like really difficult time for people to actually stay together.
Yeah, I think Tour did that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of time apart from each other quite frequently, because when Finch took off, like I was flying overseas and we do U.S. tours, and we did that used tour. I think that was the longest one we did. That was
on the self-titled record or the first record of theirs?
That was on the first record.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We did a co-headliner with the Used.
That was co-headliner that early.
It was that was with My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, it was My Chemical Romance.
They were like,
open.
This was like 2001, 2, somewhere around there.
Like 2. It was before My Chemical Romance was anything. Like nobody knew who they were.
Probably.
It was.
I'm trying to think if it was before or after the Warped Tour.
I mean how long? Like it was a couple months, right?
Yeah, it was like 2. It was like maybe
2, almost 3 months that I was gone straight. I mean that back then that was a long time, and that was like. It puts a strain on you, but at the same time, it's healthy, to have time apart. But Tour is such a circus, and it's so different. It's not real life, you know what I mean? So it's
a hurry up and wait.
It's hard to stay grounded, and if you have somebody at home that is grounded and at home living reality, that can bring you back to that while you're out in that fantasy world. I think that helped a lot.
Well, and I think being friends for a few years before we got together, like really good friends, I think that was a big deal. Yeah. I think it's a big deal to be friends, to actually,
have that established foundation first.
Yeah, right, to like the person, not just love the person, but like them, Have them be your friend, laugh, and do stupid shit together. But yeah, I think touring kept it fresh,
Yeah.
Made the heart grow fonder with the distance, as they always say.
Right.
Yes. Right. Totally. I think.
Yeah.
No.
And I'd go visit them and stuff, but it would be like 5 weeks in, and then I'm just like, I can't stand this. Can I come out for a week or so?
Yeah.
But
by that time I'm burnt. I'm just like, get me out of here.
Did that help recharge the batteries for you though at all? Like to see her for a little bit and then continue, like especially on something that's like 2 to 3 months long. If she's coming in, a little over a month in, does that help kind of get through the rest of it, or just make it worse where you're just like, I just want to go?
it kind of made it worse because it's like, you know, then you feel like you're so close to home, but you still have a little ways to go, and then I don't know. It's really easy to get jaded on tour. It's
especially for you. You're a homebody completely.
Yeah, I'm. Tour is not easy for me. It never was, but you know, you get through it.
At one point between Ivy and I when we were talking, she had mentioned how she was kind of like the merch girl, kind of had more of a behind the scenes job, I'll call it, within the Finch camp. At what point did it kind of? Because usually that's always like the sort of kiss of death, like when someone's girlfriend's like a pseudo band manager running merch, whatever. As someone who books shows, that's always like the weird thing where it's like, oh no, this is our merch person, and yet I never see them selling merch near the merch area. They're just like hanging out with their friends when they get there. It's just a way to like not have to pay. But I'm onto that game. But it's one of those things where I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about that, because I mean it seemed like that was a fun time for you, Ivy, like getting to kind of see the band take off and be a part of it.
It was. They were going to go on their first tour in a van, and they came to say bye, and like they came to my apartment, and I was like, I'm going to go. I'm just going to go. Like, you guys need someone to do merch. I just kind of like pushed my way in there, and I mean, we were all really good friends, and our friend Mike had kind of done the same thing, and he ended up being their guitar tech, and so I went, and that's kind of when it started, and then I ended up getting to go on the Warp Tour, which was a big deal, and I didn't just do their merch, I did Drive Through Records merch as well. So me and another guy, Matt, actually a couple people.
All the drive-through bands were under one tent for merch, so it was like everybody kind of like, if somebody had to go take a piss, you had to cover someone else's table. It was all like this big community of people. And the Warp Tour, like as far as merch, I mean, you can explain this better, but it's
a friend of mine does that the last few years, and it looks like hell.
It is so rough.
It is,
that.
But I
such
mean,
a tough job.
Richard and Stephanie, who own Drive Through Records, had invited me to do that. I feel like somebody dropped off or something, and then they asked me, and I was like, hell yes. So, yeah, so then I did that, and then I did the Newfound Glory tour after, which was kind of rough on us.
So you were on, sorry to cut you off, you were on a different tour than Nate, or were you guys on that tour together?
No, we were on the tour together because they were on the Drive Through stage.
That'd been kind of interesting if you would have gotten a side gig, basically being a touring merch person, and then you both were basically on the road at different times.
It was I did their merch, but we did all the Drive Through Records stage, and it's crazy because you get up, you have to be out there at like 7 to unload the entire stage because it's all like folds up into this box that gets pulled to the next city, and then so you're working from like you get up at 6 and you're done at like 10 at night, so that was grueling, but it was one of the best times of my life.
It was really fun. And then the Newfound Glory tour was after that. Was that something corporate too? I don't know, there were a bunch of bands on that tour. And then after that I was like, I was kind of done with it, and it's just we just kind of agreed, like, just get somebody else. The band also, I think, we were at a point where it was like everybody was in agreement, like, we need to get like a professional merch person. Yeah,
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I was gonna say, I was like, wow, still upset about it all these years later.
I was upset about it because I thought she was working out, but everybody was like, we're gonna need to step up our game and get somebody that's like professional and like that's so
because it was
so
so
weird though.
Yeah, it was getting bigger, and the ship needed to run as smooth as possible, and all that
it was
kind of
was getting big, and I just it started taking its hold on me, and I towards the end I was just screwing around, and I leave my post and like leave the other people there to like watch my stuff while I went and like, smoked weed on the bus or whatever, went to go see Nate or whatever. So I was getting over it. They were over it. So, I mean, I don't think there were really any hard feelings. It was just like,
time to go.
Okay. Yeah. Sick. Oh.
It's been kind of funny and kind of prepping for this and going back through basically all of Nate's discography as much as I could cram in about a week that I wasn't familiar with, which wasn't really too much. But I've been thinking and with talking to my wife about, actually we were talking about today during lunch, what it is to burn. I almost pulled the same problem your label did when they put it on vinyl. With the what it is to burn being such like a landmark record for so many people, of my age, our age. What does that do to you when you're kind of, and more so to Nate, obviously? What does this do to you when you are a young man and people are just kind of like, you're at the height of this new scene that's kind of gaining so much momentum and becoming, like, I remember it being, What It Is to Burn being like a huge song on like MTV2, like when videos actually still were played on MTV. And it was like, you, Bert, and like a handful of other people I can think of, like, and Chris Carrabba from Dashboard, like people who were just like, oh my god, this dude. What is that like to get that kind of notoriety at such a young age?
I don't know. When you're in it, it kind of doesn't make sense because you're like, why do people like this? You know what I mean? It's just like we're just a bunch of dudes playing music or whatever, but you don't really figure it out until later that stuff might have been more important than you thought it was, or is important to people and not so much you. Like when I'm on tour and you're playing the songs over and over and over and over again and doing this almost the same set list every night, and you kind of lose
the luster.
You lose sight of like kind of where, like, how other people might see it, because it's virtually impossible for the creator to see it as a piece outside of how you created it. You're in your bubble, and other people see you in such a different way and they hear the music in such a different way. So it's a bit strange to, people wanting autographs or things like that don't really make sense to me, because it's just like who it's just me, like, who cares, like, it's just I mean, music touches people and people react to it and it's art and stuff, but being on the inside, it's a little, maybe it's just me, I don't know. A lot of people get swept up in it and get big heads and egos and stuff, and I think that's where it gets messy.
It never happened to you.
There's a line there of humanity that just needs to remain, So I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it totally does. And kind of like I was saying, it's as looking back and having some friends here in the Michigan area who have been in bands and got signed at a really young age, I've kind of talked to them about it. And it's always, like I said, it's interesting to look back on someone coming into their formative years as an adult, but having this like added pressure of being in the public eye, being a product for somebody to make money off of, and the added pressures that has. And then even, and Ivy can speak onto this, what that does to your relationship, like when he comes home and, maybe having a bad tour or, label dumping on him or whatever. It's just like, he's got to come home to you and kind of, I would assume, because like, I mean, it's just human nature to kind of come home and vent to the person that you're with. I mean, I do it all the time. My wife does it. When she comes home from a shit day at work, but it's like, it's a completely different circumstance of Nate's job compared to, like, say me, who makes fucking t-shirts for PacSun and shit like that. Like, if I fuck up, like, oh no, someone didn't get their $30 t-shirt, but,
Well, there were some dark times, and, like, I remember when we went to Europe on the Sunshine Tour. It was 3 weeks, and that's when, like, what year was that? Must have been
like 5? Yeah.
So it was when the bombings happened in London. We were there. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, we left on I think the day it happened.
But like that, he was not happy on that tour at all.
Yeah, there were points during tour, or I was like, I felt like Roger Waters during The Wall, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, hated everyone, hated the crowd, didn't care anymore. Like, I didn't care about those people. I didn't care about singing the songs for them. They didn't deserve it, you know what I mean? Like, I broke.
Yeah.
I was broken, especially from the Hymn tour. That was right. That tour was a disaster, like mentally exhausting, and I snapped after that. It broke me, and I think that had a lot to do with us breaking up, because we were all broken. We were just like, that had never happened to us before, getting booed, just every night, just relentless. Yeah. And it made us play harder and angrier, and it still didn't matter. Like, we started giving more energy and more aggression, and tried to play harder and faster and play all our hard songs and just do whatever we could to make them happy, and it did not work. And it was rough. We all just broke.
The thing I was going to say that... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, it's kind of ironic that that Sunshine came out and they went on that tour or whatever. It was for Sunshine.
Yep.
And those were, compared to their first record, those were bizarre songs. Like, they were weird. And Him is a weird band. I like Him, but their music is different. And so it was really, I think, really unexpected that the crowd did not like them so much. It was just like, wow, really?
Yeah, I think we thought it was going to be awesome, like perfect match, like love metal meets, like quirky emo stuff. I don't know, whatever.
Well, and we watched like the CKY videos all the time, and loved all those guys, and we're like, oh, Him, this is gonna be awesome. And then it was not awesome.
It was disaster.
The weird thing to me, and I've talked to Ivy about this, Say Hello to Sunshine is my favorite record out of the Finch discography. To me, I love kind of how dark it was, how unexpected it was when it came out in conjunction to paralleling What It Is to Burn. I thought the band, in talking with a lot of friends, as people do when you talk about an album and someone goes, oh, the band really shit the bed when they put out blank record. To me, that was the record I always defended, saying, I don't think the band could have sustained a long career if they would have just continued on What It Is to Burn. Other bands were already doing it, so it would have fizzled out eventually, so they needed to do something different. And there were songs even on that record that kind of showcased that this was kind of maybe where they were going. But I remember it didn't seem like there was a lot of press, from what I remember, like a lot of promo behind that record, not as much as what I remember for What It Is to Burn. And speaking on to the Him thing, I'm a huge, Him is one of my favorite bands. And that tour that you were on, the Dark Light tour, was a weird time for that band even, because they were coming off of Love Metal, which was arguably, outside of Razorblade Romance, their biggest selling record internationally. And Dark Light kind of was a weird record in and of itself, and kind of started the shift that you would end up seeing on Venus Doom and stuff, where it kind of went more 6-7 minute long songs, sludgier guitars, more Black Sabbath-y inspired than it had been. So to me, I actually, like you were just saying, I thought the marriage of Him on that tour, you guys on Say Hello, I thought it was going to be a really nice, weird melancholy thing with a lot of introspective lyrics that kind of are for people who are a little more adventurous with their music choices and want a little bit more out of the bands that they're seeing. And as I was saying earlier before we were recording, to see the reaction that you just recounted, where it's people are booing all the time, and it was that was my first time seeing you guys, and I was really pumped to see you on that specific touring cycle. And I saw you in Detroit, and then, like I said, I think about 4 or 5 days after that, my stop on the tour, you guys broke up, and I was well, I'm not surprised. That looked like a band that didn't give a shit anymore. And specifically you, I remember you saying at the very end during What It Is to Burn, you going, this is probably our most well-known song. You probably know it. Fuck it, it's What It Is to Burn. Fuck you. And then just cut into it, and I was wow. And you guys seem to play it with just such a disdain for not the song itself, but just the crowd. And very much like you said, it's interesting to hear you say how I felt you were playing these songs, which is just I just didn't care about the people who were there. They were booing us, and fuck them. So, and it's it kind of came across, and it really sucked. And I
the man at the end of his rope. That was me.
The weird thing, though, is I felt like on some of the songs from Say Hello, I felt like the mood that you guys were in actually made the songs a lot cooler. Just like how much more moodier they were. And I was like, ooh, I like this extra angst added to it. Like, too bad this wasn't on the record.
Yeah, we were all pissed off. We were playing really mad.
Well, and it was...
I mean, it's not the most professional thing to do. It's kind of childish to take it that direction and, you know, say stupid stuff on stage or mess up your own songs on purpose. But
what was
like I said, it's rough. You're only you're only human, so it's hard to bottle up your emotions for an entire tour and just suck it up and go to some blank place in your mind and play the songs like a robot, get booed, get off stage, and try and enjoy the rest of your night. You know, it's knowing that the next day you're going to have to go through it all again.
Out of curiosity, since I'll probably never get this opportunity to ask you personally, what was the recording process like for Say Hello to Sunshine?
It was long. Took about 2 years to make that record.
Were the demos of that
users.
were the demos like completely different from where it ended up, or was it always kind of in how the final product ended up sounding?
They were pretty close. There's a couple like strange bridges or intros or something, like, you know, a couple changes in a few verses that might have been different, but for the most part, most of those songs were already there, and we had to tweak a little bit of things. But we started working with Mark Trombino again.
You went through 3 producers.
That's right.
Wow, really?
Ben.
I forgot about Ben. So we started with Trombino because we're like, hey, you did the first one. Let's knock it out of the park with Trombino. And something happened. He wasn't in it fully. He wasn't focused, I don't think. I don't know what was going on with him. Maybe personal stuff. I'm not sure. We just didn't feel like he was fully invested. And I'm sorry. I mean, if Mark hears this, I'm not trying to be a jerk. That's just how it was. I love Mark. He's a great guy. But it just didn't work out. So then we canned him and found what was his name? Ben
Good.
Good. Ben Good. He worked at Big Fish Studios.
Yeah, he was.
He was working with Mark, and then so we started using him and redid all the guitars and redid all of this stuff and all that. Spent weeks and weeks on guitar tones, like long time on guitar tones, longer than it should have lasted, months. I'm sitting around waiting just to sing a scratch vocal. So then I get to sing a scratch vocal, and then it's 10 takes, 15 takes, 20 takes, 30 takes of the same song, and I'm like, dude, how many times do you need me to sing this? So that got messy too, where we're just like, this isn't working out. So then we got Jason Cupp, and God bless him.
Little angel.
God bless him, he saved the record. He was fully invested, super excited. He was a friend first, and he enjoyed the music first before he was a producer.
He ended up becoming like a 6th member in
my
eyes.
he definitely did. His character and his choices, and he's all over that record.
He pushed it.
He pushed, and he got us to play our best and come up with our best ideas and do the best we absolutely could.
And weird shit.
God bless him for it, because that, like you said, that's also my favorite Finch record from our catalog. That's probably the thing I'm the most proud of in our career, is that record. And recording it was, despite how long it took and the producer changes and all that stuff, once we settled in with Jason, it was so fun. It was great times.
Now, Ivy, you have talked about when the record came out, how you felt about it when we've been communicating. I always find it interesting talking to people who get to hear some of these songs before and finding out, like, you're so close to the project, that you had said that you initially weren't really a fan of that record at first.
Yeah. You knew that. I would tell you, no, he would like bring demos home and I'm like, what is this?
What is this crap?
Because it didn't sound like what it is to Burn, and when you're in it, like, kind of touching back on the question you'd asked before about, you know, like when you're in it, you don't realize how big it is. And then when you come outside of it, you're like, oh shit, like that was like, you're going on different radio shows and MTV shows and all this stuff. So then when they were recording Sunshine, you realize how big What It Is to Burn was, and it's like, okay, well, you have to keep that going or whatever, you know? And so then it went in a totally different direction, and I was just like, what are you guys doing? What is this stuff?
That was our middle,
I hate this song.
That was our middle finger to the record industry is what it was.
And Nate's like, no. He's like, you just gotta wait. We're gonna do this, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. And I'm just like, oh, whatever. And then he was right, because at the end I was just like, this is a freaking masterpiece. I loved it. I still love it. I still listen to it.
Yes,
she does.
Nate, do you think that helped you get ready for kind of the reaction to that record, like having your own wife, girlfriend, whatever you two were at the time, kind of being the basis for how the general populace was going to react to it? Like, did that kind of get you more prepared for it than maybe some of the other people?
No, I think we were so excited about it that we were arrogant enough to think that, like, people are going to eat this up. It's going to be the sickest thing ever. And
when you were young, too.
Well, yeah, and we were also we were this furious force of just, like, we don't care what other people think. Like, we're doing this for us. We want to put out this crazy record. F everyone else. Like, it didn't matter. So we didn't really care. So I think we got swept up in that, thinking that, like, this is going to blow people's minds, and it went the total other way.
You had a big fuck you attitude,
I mean,
for sure.
At first it went, it kind of went sour, and the label hated it and tried to shelve it. And
even your manager?
No, there was no, like you said, there's barely any press for it. They didn't push it at all, and
they wanted to shelve it.
They did. And
really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wanted to put it in a box. And we're like, you can't do that, man. So we fought for it, and we picked a single, and they're like, no, we're going to go with this one. And they went with Bite Marks because it was sounded like What It Is to Burn. It was 6/8 feel, They wanted to try and be like, remember these guys, the 6/8 band?
See, the weird thing that I remember...
we wanted Ink to be the single.
I thought that was the single, looking back.
It was. I think afterwards they put it was on a video game or something, and they kind of put it out sort of as a pseudo single.
Right. Okay.
But it never really, we didn't make a video for it or anything.
Brother would have been good.
I was going to say, speaking of those two songs, something I've always wondered, which came first? The bridge part to Brother Bleed Brother, or the verse riff to Ink? Because they're shared.
That's funny that you noticed that.
When I first heard that record, I was like, holy shit, this is cool. They had a callback to another song and made it the main verse riff to their, like, what I thought was the single, but I guess I remembered that wrong.
Who did that?
Randy wrote Ink, so I feel like Grizzly wrote Brother, or that bridge, or it might have been Derek and Grizzly, I'm not sure.
Derek wrote a lot.
Derek wrote a lot of stuff, so he was like the bridge guy. When we were stuck and we needed a bridge, Derek showed up and was just like, burn.
He was a great writer.
He was a fantastic writer. I don't know. I'm not sure which came first, to be honest.
Because it's so weird, because like you said, that bridge is... I was going to say, that bridge just stops, like, it cuts into that riff, stops, and goes on that, like, repeating part for, like, 3 or 4 times, and then goes back into the chorus that doesn't have anything to do with the bridge. So I always wondered, like, was the bridge, like, kind of an afterthought? Like, hey, we got this riff, fuck it. And then kind of forgot, like, oh, here's this cool riff I have. And then it's like, yeah, that sounds familiar. No, it's good, whatever. And you just write a whole other song around it, because, like, I've done that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that going on when we were writing. There was parts were part of other songs, and we'd switch them, or, like, we'd dump one part and leave this other part, and we're like, well, what do we do with this? And we're like, well, we need a bridge in this song, and try to fit it in here, and then be like, oh, that works. And so a lot of those things that you hear that feel connected are because they might have been ideas from other songs, and we kind of mashed them up. I don't really remember if we did that specifically, but I know there was a couple moments where we were kind of just using whatever we had, because we wrote a lot of cool stuff, and I think we just tried to fit it all together. And that's why a lot of it's so weird, is because we just mashed things together that we were working on that we thought sounded cool. A lot of them we wrote songs from beginning to end, but we had a lot of holes in songs, and we needed to fill them with something, so we, bounced stuff off the wall and it landed in a song.
So I wasn't sure if that was part of a bigger,
no, I don't,
conscious decision to do something like that and be like, oh, we're going to fuck with people and be really cool.
No, I think it just kind of floated its way in there and happened to be that way because we were so invested in each song and thought everything was so cool that we just wanted to fit everything in there. So I don't know. It could have been a part of Ink at one point. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
And this is more to Ivy since she's in this Facebook group that I'm talking about. It was weird in setting this up. I think a couple of days ago, someone posted the Sail Low to Sunshine record that person had and saying like this was the best record. What does anyone else think? And to see a lot of people give it love over 10 years now or so. And I was telling her, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, about how I think Sail Low to Sunshine is to Finch what Shape of Punk to Come was for Refused, in the fact that when Refused put that record out, it flopped. It didn't do well. People didn't like it because it wasn't Fan the Flames of Discontent. And basically the band broke up very shortly thereafter. And then it wasn't until there was like a 10-year gap of the band not existing where people finally were able to take in the record, let it grow on them. I think maybe remove themselves from clicks, trends, whatever, to make their own opinion on something. And I'm wondering if you're noticing, collectively between the two of you, if you're noticing that that's what's happening with that record. Like, people now are able to have grown up and understand maybe what you were doing all that time ago.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
does it feel more validating at this point?
Yeah, it took a good, 5 years after that record actually came out where people actually first started saying, that record's awesome, or that's my favorite Finch record. It took a long time, and it's nice. It feels nice, but I'm always telling those people that used to come up to me and say that, I'm like, where were you when the record came out, bro? We needed you, man. But I get it. Some things go over people's heads, and we got weird, and it took a while. It took a while to sink in, I think. So.
I was trying to think.
Well, it was ahead of its time, so people are, catching up to it now, I think. Not to, sound arrogant or whatever, but, I think that was a big part of it. Kind of like Shape of Punk to Come. Because, I didn't know that record, that Shape of Punk to Come, came out when it did until you told me that.
Yeah.
I thought, because we were listening to it in the van when Finch first started touring, and that was a few years after it came out, and I had thought it came out then. I thought Nick Mendoza had found, which was their tour manager, had, found, because he would put on music in the van all the time, and I was like, oh yeah, Refused. I just thought it was new. I thought it was something new, and because he was always up on the new stuff. But I didn't know it had been a few years old at that point, so
yeah.
I think that record was definitely ahead of its time too.
That was
people love it now.
That was the catalyst of finding another band and getting into a record and being like, oh fuck, they broke up. and then it followed with you guys where I was like, oh, I get to see this band on this awesome tour. No, fuck, they broke up. So I was like, okay, apparently I'm not allowed to like anything anymore because then they break up. I should just be a casual fan at best and I'll never be disappointed. Moving on from Finch, though, at that point you started up Reverend Crow.
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm one of those rare fans that follow somebody into the next project or any project they do. How hard is it to start a new project and know that it's not going to be what the other thing is, but people don't seem to get that no matter how much you forewarn them or release small snippets to inform them, like, hey, this isn't going to be Finch 2.
Yeah, there's really no way to prepare people for that because they're always going to... I think the majority of people are always going to assume, or, they think I was in Finch and I was screaming and stuff, so obviously, anything I do, I'm gonna do that same thing because that's what I like. But I like so many other bands and types of music that, I'd like to try everything at least once. And since I was 10, I wanted to play guitar and sing in a band, and so Reverend Crow was just that for me. That's how it started, and I just started listening to Nirvana again. I grew up on Nirvana, so I started listening to Nirvana a lot again, and I got all of those rhythms and that kind of style in my head, and then I just started writing a bunch of songs and got some people together and just wanted to play them. And I think for the most part, people liked it, but I think, like you said, they were kind of expecting, like, oh, Nate's in the new band, so it's going to sound like Finch. But that's not what it was. It was something it was supposed to be totally different. I like everything that I do outside of Finch to be different from Finch, because I will always wanted to keep all of that stuff separate from Finch. I didn't want, because I've seen a lot of people break out of bands and do side projects or other bands and stuff, and it's just more of the same, it's more of the same stuff, and it's just like, well, if you're gonna go for it, like, go for it, do something different that nobody's ever heard.
Then I gotta ask, how do you feel about all the Chino's side projects?
They're interesting. I mean, I didn't really like Crosses that much on record. Not on record.
See that shit live.
I did. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
I didn't like it too much on record, and then I saw them live, and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it was great. And that kind of brought a new life to it for me, and so that was cool. I didn't really get into Palms too much.
We loved Team Sleep, though.
I felt like that was basically a lighter Crosses, though. Like, it was the precursor to what Crosses would be. And the funny thing is, to me, and sorry to cut you guys off on your own question, but I was going to say, it's weird to see people hate on Team Sleep, because, like, I went and saw them play at the Intersection here in Grand Rapids, and, like, no one was there. But I went to the House of Blues to see Crosses, and that thing was damn near sold out. And it's like, it's kind of very similar.
That's a band Sean's in.
Yeah, that's Sean Lopez. We saw Crosses, or
Team Sleep.
Team Sleep in San Diego.
Very early.
Very early
before
on.
They didn't, that whole thing with the album got all messed up, but
yeah.
Yeah, that was really early.
Small,
I mean, Canes is like just this big.
Tiny show. Chino came out in like a hoodie, and he was just like, he didn't care. He just, they were just playing. It felt like their first show or something. Like, it was very small.
Felt like
and
that.
They weren't that rehearsed. Like, they sounded good, but they didn't feel like rehearsed really. Like, it was, but it was still awesome. We talked
badass.
with Zach, the drummer,
for
a while outside.
Loving him. The guy from Hella, the drummer from Hella.
Yeah.
That
was
really
good.
Cool
I like, I love Chino, and I love his voice. I love the Deftones, and I'm always going to check out stuff that he does, but I'm not too religious about,
the
following.
cult of Chino.
Right, yeah, I'm not on that bandwagon of, like, I'll listen to I have all his records, I'll listen to anything he does, just because I do have musical taste that is just like, if it doesn't hit me, it doesn't hit me,
Was the one that we really liked, or Cross? I don't even
Crosses.
really follow it that much.
We did like Crosses, but there was, I
just remember a time period where we were like, we really need to listen to this stuff to see what it's like, or see, why everybody likes it so much. And okay, it was Crosses
because it's dark and seductive, and Sean Lopez and Chuck Doom know what they're doing.
Yeah,
as far as building songs.
They're fantastic live. That was a great show.
The takeaway for me was their drummer. I was like, holy shit, this dude's a beast.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think anyone noticed him. I was like, are you not watching this drummer? Kind of going back to the end of Finch, Ivy, like, what was that like for Nate coming back without having to be gone all the time? Like, was it nice to have him back, or was it kind of like, this sucks?
The first time?
Yeah, sure, the first time.
Gosh. I'm trying to think of, like, what was going on in our lives outside of that. It was,
First time.
Yeah, because there's been a few.
Yeah.
It was a weird time. I mean, it just kind of felt like, to tell you the truth, it kind of felt wrong. Like, I feel like he felt a little lost, maybe. 'Cause things ended so strangely, and I don't know, like, through almost our whole relationship, he's been doing this band, you know, and so when it ends, it's like...
Does it feel like a part of it, like, ended for you as well? Like, being so, like,
yeah,
a part of
totally. That's what I'm trying to say, is it didn't just end for him, it, like, ended for us, because then it's like...
It's like you get really good at sketching with a pencil, and then someone takes away your pencil. You're like, what? Okay, well, now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and then you have to, like, do real life, because they were doing really well. I didn't work. I didn't, you know, I was at home, like, living it up and hanging out with my sisters, and, like, so then he comes home, and we're like, okay, well, now we gotta, like, get jobs, and we gotta, like, do real life, and so it was strange, and it was sad, and it was, on one hand, I was like, you know, it was so tumultuous at the end that I was like, yeah, you know, just cut it loose, get out of there. And then when he's not doing it for a while, you're just like, damn, this sucks, because that's what he should be doing. He's, you know, a born musician, and it was very strange. It was very strange. And, you know, nobody talked to anybody. Like, I mean, maybe the other guys did, I don't know, but Nate didn't. So, I mean, you know, and we would hang out at Derek's house, like, every freaking day, you know, and their guitar techs lived there, their tour manager lived there. I mean, those were our friends. That's who we hung out with. So then everything stops, and they break up, and it's like you lose a big part of your life, and you just... It was weird, man. It was really weird. It was weird losing all those people, you know, just because of whatever the reason. The pride, the ego, I don't even know, you know. But it was strange, you know. You had to walk into a whole different life.
I feel like that would be kind of a weird thing to go through as a couple. Like, the thing that has been around not most of, but like a good chunk of your relationship is gone. And it's almost like the loss of a partner, kind of. I mean, like a whole entity.
Yeah. It's like a divorce.
Definitely.
Yeah. So with Reverend Crow, it seemed like by the time you started picking up any momentum with it, Finch was back.
That's what they do.
It was very weird, because I think you were teasing, like, that you were working either on a full length or at least another, like, bucket of songs. A bucket of songs? That's not a monetary or a unit of songs. Another batch of songs. And was one of those things where I was really looking forward to seeing what was going on with that band, since it was kind of a more fleshed out band with other members. And then it was like, all right, Finch is back, and I was pretty excited about it, but it kind of sucked that you just went back to do another reunion tour of sorts for the anniversary thing. And I think it was more just fatigue as a concert goer, that it seemed like everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
And
I didn't realize that until we, like, quote unquote signed up to do that. Like, they're like, let's do this, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a good idea. And then I started noticing that, like, all these bands were doing this, and then
it was crazy.
After we did it, even more bands were doing it, and I was just like, oh man, we were just part of that. Like, that sucks. Like, that really sucks. So I didn't really, it was kind of a bummer. And being yanked out of Reverend Crow sucked, because I was really invested in that, and I really wanted to take that to a level of, like, at least get a record out and play a few shows and do that kind of stuff. And Finch just swooped in, sunk their claws back in, and yanked me back into the whole thing. And I was just like, I don't know. That was just something that always happened to me with that band. And
well, it's hard to say no to money.
Yeah, and it's also hard to, when you're not making any money, to be like, hey, we can go make some quick cash doing this real fast. And it's like, all right, sure.
That's what
it's not what it was all about, but it's hard to draw that line.
I think you're one of the more open people to at least admit that is what a part of it was, because so many people are like, no, it's about reconnecting with the fans and, you know, giving them a time that they remember and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, but at the same time, like, your tours weren't doing very good, and all of a sudden you do this, and now you're selling out, you know, rooms twice the size of what you're used to playing at twice the amount of money, and it's like,
and everybody gets all juiced up and be like, oh, let's just keep it going, let's keep it going, let's keep it going, and then we make another record, and and then it just, the whole thing just snowballs. And
I felt like, and I say this to people that I talk to during these, like, I have any like knowledge on this shit at all, but I felt like it was right back where it was for Say Hello to Sunshine. Like, I didn't feel like there was much push behind the record. It didn't seem like the fan base gave a shit. It was like, we only like this one fucking record, and it really sucked, because it's like, I liked what was it, Oblivion? I'm kind of blanking. In the day and age now with cell phones where shit's on your phone, you kind of forget what albums are, what song titles are. But it's one of those things, like, I felt like it was just right back where you were before you broke up the first time, and that kind of bummed me out, because I kind of wondered if the same thing was going to happen, and lo and behold, it kind of did.
That's what it felt like, and it kind of felt like that was going to be our career. We just keep pushing and try and put out new stuff and keep ahead of ourselves and write stuff that we thought was, better than the last record or whatever, and all anyone wanted to hear was the old stuff. They just wanted to hear What Is to Burn, and they just wanted the reunion shows, and everything just started dipping after that. And that's when I started noticing, like, this isn't going to last much longer, guys. Like, we can make maybe another record after Oblivion, but it's not going to work out. And everybody, had different ideas and thought that we could stretch it out another 5-10 years or whatever. And I'm getting older, and I was like, I don't want to sit and do this over and over again. Like, I need to do something else, and can't be stuck in this rut.
Well, yeah, at 24, you don't want to write What It Is to Burn again. You're certainly not going to want to write it again at 32 or however old.
I started feeling like you at that Yellow Card tour. Like, I was like, you're finally here playing shit off of Say Hello to Sunshine that I'm liking. You're playing some of the good stuff off of Oblivion, and I'm like, looking around, and my wife took a Snapchat of me being pissed at looking around all the people, like, why don't you fucking know these songs? Stop just singing the ones. And then it's like, they did it for Yellow Card too, and I'm like, God, what the fuck is wrong with people? And it's like, I'm not even in the band. I'm just upset as, like, a fan of a band and wanting to hear the band stick around. And I'm just like, this is why this band's never going to be able to do anything. A band I love is never going to be able to do anything past this one record, because, like, it's all, like, with their money, all they're showing that they want. And I don't know, just it's infuriating as a fan of a band to see that. And, like, I can only imagine it's probably amplified tenfold at least to be the person performing and just seeing people, like, during songs that aren't
Sunshine stuff, because it's like, how long has that record been out now, and, like, you guys still can't get into it? It's like, give me a break. Like, all you want to hear is What Is to Burn and maybe a song off Oblivion. Like, that's not going to be our whole career. We're not going to play Casinos and just play the hits. Like, we're not Poison, you know what I mean?
Fuck, I was just going to say them, too. I was just going to say Poison.
I don't want that. So, it's...
Well, and what's bizarre to me is that we're 35. Most of their fans are our age, give or take a few years. Yeah.
Yeah, me.
And it's like, so you want them to keep writing stuff they were writing when they were like 18 and 19 years old? I mean, it's...
I'm definitely not the same person I was when that record came out, but
to want What It Is to Burn Part 2, it's just kind of immature, and I don't... Not that record's not good, but I personally think that record belongs in that time period. I feel like Sunshine is very timeless. You can listen to,
Yeah.
That, What It Is to Burn belongs in that era to me, like...
Yeah, that's why so many people talk about nostalgia when they talk about that record, or they talk about nostalgia when they went to the reunion shows and like, oh, 8th grade me is so stoked, or, whatever they say. And it's just... It's like, okay, why do you want to keep reliving 8th grade your entire life? Like, let's move on, like, something else, like, progress a little bit. And I don't know, especially lately, it's just the era of nostalgia, and there's bands that are just doing things in that era.
Something I've kind of been wondering, with you guys living out in California, that emo night that's been, like, just like spreading like wildfire all the way out here even, You're shaking your head no. I'm waiting for another one-off Finch show. I mean, they got From First to Last to reunite, and I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
That's crazy.
Yeah, with Sonny.
Yeah, like I figured maybe he'd do the one song he did, but I never figured they would get back together and at least perform a song. Like, no way. But so it's interesting to see that other people in bands from those time periods are attaching to it, and I don't know if it's just because they never went through the thing of like getting the anniversary tour or whatever, but it's interesting to see that that's now becoming a thing, and that other bands of that time frame are reuniting for that to play. And I don't know how big that venue is, so I don't even know if it's really like worth it.
What venue?
Where
are they doing it? I know that there was one at the Roxy.
There was one at the Roxy, and I thought there was one over in San Diego.
Yeah, there's one in San Diego.
Where did From First to Last do theirs? I thought that was that at the Roxy?
I don't know. I feel like it was.
I want to know why he's doing that, because obviously it's not for money.
Maybe that's the thing, is he has so much money he can go back and do that and just be like, meh, fuck it, I'm going to go play in front of an arena hitting a fucking keyboard.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just like, I want to sing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's noble, whatever, but it's kind of the part of what I was talking about the whole nostalgia thing. It's just kind of,
so if
not even for money, like it's a quote unquote cash in on the nostalgia factor. It's just like, you know that people are going to show up, not even for money. Like, you're not even doing it for money, just so people will show up and you can get that.
Those YouTube hits, man. Show. You can monetize those.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah, the internet.
Kind of moving on, not on a nostalgic trip. Private Lives. Getting pretty excited. Looks like you guys are making a lot of headway on this new record.
Yeah, we're pretty much done with it. We just need to, it's got to get mixed and mastered, and we're very close any day now gonna get it out there for pre-order.
Some plans.
Yeah, we got some plans cooking up for the next.
You two are working together again on this project, from what I understand. Ivy more so behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I'm just so much to do. I'm just kidding.
She just, me and Kenny are too lazy and computer stupid. Well, we know how to use computers, but we're not very social media happy.
I took that from your last podcast.
We like to focus on the music a little more.
That's a weird concept. To focus on the music?
How weird. So Ivy's helping us out with social media stuff, and she pushes us to be like, you guys need some content. Well, need some stuff out there.
Kenny's very open to me helping, which
that's a
not
first.
To knock, the Finch guys or whatever, but they were kind of.
It's a boys' club.
It is, and that's fine. Like that, they had very strong ideas about what they wanted to do, and they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and especially, I think at that age too, you're just like, I want to do what I want to do, and if I'm going to listen to anybody, it's going to be a professional or a manager or a man. But Kenny was just I don't even know how that all happened, where I was just like, I'm going to help you out. I want to do this side of it.
He asked me, he was like, so does Ivy want to run our social media? And I was like, yeah, she probably
Because I have no life.
So I told her, you can run the social media, and she went, wee!
Shut up!
So now she's all about it.
It's fun, though.
It's cool. It's very cool. Because
it's like the little teeny bit of my life where I get to, like, kind of be creative with something, So,
I would imagine, though, with any of the success that comes out of this, it's going to feel doubly good, because, like, you both are working on this project together as a team, but then also working on it, like, you can enjoy it as a couple who have been together and know the hardships and adversities you guys have gone through to get to this level with this new project. So
I feel like we're a team.
Totally. I actually feel like the three of us, me, Kenny, and Ivy, are all we've all kind of been working together since the beginning to, like, make this thing go, Like, me and Kenny obviously do the music and all that stuff, but, like, the social media is very, very important this day and age, unfortunately, but it's a great tool, and I'm just too lazy, and I hate Facebook, so so I didn't want to do it. I'll occasionally throw some things up on the Instagram or whatever, but she's, like I said, she always pushes us to be like, you guys need content, it's going stale, like it's getting cold, you don't get forgotten, and we forget that kind of stuff, because we're just doing our thing. So
social media has taken over so much of the music industry, of anything really. So it's like, you really do have to be out there and pushing it, because people build their whole careers on social media. I mean, some people, and
unfortunately,
it's like, well, just use it to your advantage then. Like, if it's going to be there, then, like, we need to use it to our advantage, especially because a lot of record labels aren't like they used to be, which is part of the reason I think that, like, Back to Oblivion, the reception was the way it was, and it just kind of went where it went, because you don't have a record label pushing you and supporting you anymore. You kind of have to do it on your own, and I mean, you have to prove that you're worthy of a big record label picking you up. But I think that people can still get themselves out there by themselves because of the way social media is, or the internet is now. Like, you can become a big thing on YouTube if you just work at it, and you try, or Instagram, or what. I mean,
it's free.
Makeup artists,
free marketing,
and all that
marketing
stuff.
is everything. It's crazy. It's free marketing.
It is. I mean, and you don't really need to have that big record label support anymore. So I mean, if you have this thing that you can use, why not use it? Because it's there. It's free.
Yeah. I am interested to see, because like on Hands of Time, speaking to the point earlier about how when you did something outside of Finch, people were expecting it to be Finch, I was interested to see, with it kind of leaning more heavy in the like electronic kind of vibe, to see what you did with it vocally. And a song like Hands of Time, I feel like, to me, it has a very Sting Police vibe to it vocally. Like sort of the cadence to the vocals that were in the song. And I don't feel like you would have been able to do that on a Finch record. So I'm interested to see some of your other influences come out in this different medium.
That verse was actually me just doing my best Peter Gabriel impression, is what it is.
So not entirely off, but...
Yeah, I love Peter Gabriel. So, I mean, I think you're right. I think there wasn't many opportunities for me to do different vocal stuff like that in Finch. I mean, Sunshine is all over the gamut, but, Finch was just heavy driving. It's just me being aggressive and singing when I could and trying to sound pretty when I could and stuff like that. But this was more designed around the idea that I didn't want to scream, and I wanted to smooth things out a bit and take my time with melodies and get a little bit more pop with the vocals, So.
You said you wanted it to be your version of pop music.
Yeah, it's kind of me and Kenny's version of pop music is what we're trying to do, I guess. Electronic pop or whatever you want to call it. But I think that was from day one. We were just like, look, this is what it needs to be. We need to start in the pop realm, and then we can expand outside of that bubble as it happens. And every song has been kind of different in that way, so...
Yeah, I'm interested, just like I said, to see where this goes, and interested to see what kind of different genres you dip into, because I feel like this is a vehicle to really do a lot of different kind of stuff, whether it be, like you said, a very more pop leaning, or even more into the, I mean, I'm going to say industrial, but like more just heavy electronic music, and so forth. I mean, even to the point of like you did a teaser video, and I'm kind of blanking on what song it said it was for, but the video kind of really gave me a Lost Highway vibe.
Was it Electric Sheep, maybe?
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah,
I kind of filmed myself driving home at night, and I don't know. When I listened to that song, it gave me that kind of vibe of just driving at night. So I filmed myself driving home at night. I put it in the teaser, and I was like, yeah, it did feel very Lost Highway. And I think the title that I wanted to put on the video was like Yellow Lost Highway, and I was like, wait a minute, this is too much.
It's one of those where I feel like this is going to be a record for people our age now who want that nostalgia, but in a completely different sense. Like, I'm saying, like, that teaser reminded me of Lost Highway. Lost Highway, while it had a great soundtrack, I don't really have any attachments to it, but it reminds me of a time that was a lot more free.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
totally.
Yeah, and it's like and then stuff like that. It's like the Sting Police vibe. It's like, okay, that fits more of my adult sensibilities now. Of like, I like melody. I like a good song. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be like 120 BPM at all times. Like, sometimes like what's not being played or what's not being sung is heavier than any breakdown that ever could go over that space.
Yeah,
and I think that just comes with getting to this age and kind of realizing like not everything needs to be a million miles an hour, and to just kind of reflect. So I'm looking forward to this record to see if it helps fit that vibe and that like that kind of music that I'm getting into more now. Granted, I still love really aggressive music, but
yeah, so does she.
Well, it's funny you say that Lost Highway, that you compare it to that, because Trent Reznor did that soundtrack, and the first half of what they've put out, like on Bandcamp, mm-hmm. is a very different vibe to the last half of the last couple songs they put out, and then what they have now, that the things that they haven't put out. I'm constantly saying this totally reminds me of Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's funny that you made that comparison, because I really get that vibe. It's a little not happier, just a little lighter maybe, because mm-hmm. he gets real dark sometimes. Although his later stuff was kind of poppy, so you know.
Are you talking about Trent?
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like Trent stuff got a lot more.
Well, no, there
got
was
a lot more
with
more bite
later
to
stuff
it.
had some fancy beats and
yeah.
But yeah, it totally reminds me of kind of a Nine Inch Nails-y.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're aiming for, is exactly what you're talking about, is something to cling on to, whether it be, my voice or the way I'm singing, for Finch fans to kind of cling on to it, but to take them in another direction from there with a more, mature approach to listening to me singing. You know what I mean? So it's not just me screaming over stuff and yelling about this and that over aggressive music. It's my voice that people know, but over something that's maybe they're not familiar with, but is still familiar in
it's pretty.
A new way. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm not
but
making any sense.
It's hard. Well, let's. Yeah. Anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that.
The connection of
you've matured, just like
I feel like
your taste has matured.
I just feel like me and Kenny are really we work very strangely together. We kind of let the song present itself to us. We start with a lot of noises, like the noise has to be correct, the sound has to be correct. And sometimes we can pick just a sound and put it over a beat, and we're like, this is the heaviest thing we've ever heard. You know what I mean? If the sound is correct, if you're using the right sound, it can be heavier than any guitar you can put on it. So it's like we're very specific about the sounds, and then once we start building stuff on top of other things, the song presents itself to us, and then we kind of just follow that down a path. So in that sense, it's just kind of the two of us talking to each other through music, and it all just kind of comes out. I don't know.
Pretty organic.
It's very organic.
Out of curiosity, is Imogene Heap something that you are you familiar with her work at all?
No, I don't think so.
You really should get into that.
Yeah.
All right, like a side tangent, but it totally correlates to what you were just saying with about how you and Kenny work together. So Imogene Heap did a record. She's most famous for a record she did with the dude who did the music for Eurythmics. They did a record together after she had already had a solo career called Frau Frau, and this album was called Details, and the song "Let Go" was the like lead off single from the Garden State soundtrack. Like, it was like the big song off of that kind of relaunched, because at that point they did a one-off record, it was done, and then that soundtrack kind of re-brought them to the forefront of a lot of mainstream fans. It's a very electronic-based album, and was kind of my introduction into Imogene Heap, and then from there I went and found her solo stuff. She creates, and there's a DVD that I'm thinking of specifically, it's the making of her record Ellipsis. And there's like a scene in the DVD, and I'm sure it's on YouTube, of her running up and down her stairs with a stick and just like running it in between the lattice work of the stairs. And she's recording that and recording like, you know, pots and pans falling and a bunch of other random noises, and then throws it into her like GarageBand or whatever the fuck, and then loops it backwards, chops it into 4 pieces, mixes it in completely different ways, throws it into this song, and you're just like, holy shit, that's what that fucking was? Like, I had no clue. And it's some of the most beautiful, as you were saying, organic music I've ever heard. But to see her process of creating these noises for something that she's going to use in a song is just completely awe-inspiring. As someone who likes music and stuff like that, so to me, when you were talking about how like making a rant, starting with a noise or whatever, I almost figured for sure you were going to be like, oh yeah, Imogene Heap like is someone that we're really big on, since that's how she makes a lot of her music. So if there's no takeaway on my end other than that, check out Imogene Heap.
I definitely will. That sounds awesome. I'll check that out.
So when can we expect? I know you kind of just said that soon it's kind of being mixed, mastered, and finishing up. When can we maybe get a tentative release for this stuff?
Ooh,
and will it be available on vinyl?
Yes, it will, actually. That's our goal.
Yes.
I don't know. We're probably not going to do CDs. We're going to do digital download and vinyl, and then have some other merch as well for sale. And that's all going to be able to, you're going to be able to order that like really soon, like within this week, hopefully. But an actual release date of like when it will all be physically in your hands, not sure. Maybe, I mean, tentatively might be a little far, but July, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, just so we, give ourselves time to press everything and get it out there.
Yeah, everyone's vinyl is backed up right now.
Yeah, totally.
And then, is this going to be a project that starts touring, or what does this project look like as far as a live show?
Yeah, that's the next step. We actually have one show booked already in August, which is going to be in San Diego.
Good job, manager.
Yeah,
It's in San Diego.
A birdie whispering in my ear. San Diego, stupid. Yeah, so we gotta. That's the next step, is gearing up for that, and hopefully that will lead to other shows and possibly a tour, and start going from there. Once the album's out there for people to listen to.
Yeah.
And we have a video dropping also.
Ooh, when's that dropping?
Again, probably this week.
Awesome.
I gotta get with Kenny. He's busy this weekend, but we're figuring it out.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to ask you too. This is usually where I ask the other person if there's socials they want to plug.
Socials, was it Private Lives Band at Facebook?
I think so.
And then, what's the Twitter? Our Private Lives?
The Twitter is at Our Private Lives. Facebook is Private Lives Band, and then
Instagram is Private Lives Band.
I changed it.
It is. It's Private Lives Band.
Let me see.
See, this is why I need her. This is why I need her.
I need somebody to tell me what it is.
If you weren't here and somebody asked me that, I'd be all, duh.
Just Google us.
Yeah, just be like, just forget it. Just type in Private Lives.
Private Lives Band
in your
is
computer.
Instagram. Well, no, don't Google it, because there's like another No, I'm just kidding. Google it.
Well, there's one. Might be one from the 80s or something.
I'll be sure to throw all of those in the show notes and to add it in the intro or the outro or whatever this episode. I always like to add a song at the very end, so I'd like to play, unless you want it to be a Finch song, I'd like to play a Private Lives thing. What's the song you would like me to play, and maybe give a little backstory on it if you could?
Ooh.
Man of Faith is the one that has the
video. I think you should probably play Man of Faith, because that's we're gonna drop that video real soon. We just made a video for that song, so I guess technically that's our first single.
Okay.
If you can call it that.
Yeah.
So
your promotional single, as it were, before the lead single?
Yeah, exactly. Our social media single.
And Dylan Bell
Marco Bell directed it. He's the director.
He did
of the video.
What's that?
He did a Finch video called Anywhere But Here.
Yeah.
So I'd worked with him before, and I hit him up, and
he's awesome.
He was happy to do the video, and he was awesome to work with again. Great dude. So keep an eye out for the video, and yeah.
Awesome.
There you go.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you.